Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Study in Ireland webinar. I'm Crona from the SRT team, and I'm very happy to introduce you to two Irish institutions who are going to be talking to us about their programmes, how to apply, as well as life as a student in what's becoming a really popular destination for international students. If you're looking to study in Europe's only native English-speaking country, then for sure Ireland is the place for you. We're going to play a short video, but before we do that, I want to introduce you to Rachel Neal from Carlow Institute of Technology and Aisling Burke from Limerick Institute of Technology. How are you ladies doing today?
Very good, thanks.
Good. Really great to see you, and thanks for joining us today. So let's just watch the video first, and during the video we're going to run a poll, and we'd like you to tell us why you'd like to study in Ireland. And then after the video, Rachel and Aisling will be back to give their presentations. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat and we'll answer them later. Over to you.
So that was a beautiful video on just a lovely introduction to why you should study in Ireland. So what we will do now is both myself and Rachel will talk you through just a general information slide on Ireland itself before we continue into information just specifically on our institutes. So let's give a lovely warm introduction to Ireland and why you should study in Ireland. So Ireland is known as the Emerald Isle. It's the island of opportunity. It's the island of saints and scholars. We're known for being an embracing culture, a warm, welcoming community here in Ireland, no matter whether you're going to Dublin, to Cork, to Limerick, or to Carlow. We embrace visitors joining us here in Ireland, and we aim to give you the best education possible. So we'll go through some of the fabulous pointers about what it's like to study here in Ireland and some of the opportunities that students can avail of. So Ireland is globally connected. We have a number of airports here in Ireland, such as Shannon International Airport and Dublin Airport, both of which are connected to countries all around the world. And we're in such an ideal spot that it's easy to get to us no matter where in the world you're living to, and you're not flying for too long to join us. A lot of the flights are direct as well, thankfully, to either airport or to Cork Airport as well. So no matter where in the world you want to join us from, you're joining us in a lovely centralized location. And then when you want to travel as well during your studies with us, you're able to travel all over the world from conveniently located places within Ireland. We're also one of the safest countries in the world. So we're in the top 10 safest countries in the world as of the GPI, the Global Peace Index, in 2017, 2018, and 2019. So safer compared to countries such as the UK and the USA and other countries in Europe, such as France and Italy. We love embracing international students with us, and we love taking care of them when they're here studying with us. Your safety, even in times like pandemic, but in normal times as well, is one of our greatest concerns, whether you're studying at LIT or at IT Carlow. So what can you study in Ireland? Well, there's so many options for you. Options such as aircraft maintenance, pharmaceutical, mechanical engineering. And the great thing about all these different things that you can study in Ireland is that we have such a high standard of education that you're learning the best skills that you need for your career. It's something that is both embraced here at LIT and at IT Carlow, is that we prepare you for your career in all of these fantastic areas. And we have companies here in Ireland in all of these different areas teaching us how to teach you. So you're ready for your career in many, many areas. Supply chain management, culinary arts, you name it, there's something here for everybody. And then campuses in Ireland. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk specifically about Limerick Institute of Technology, and we're going to talk about IT Carlow today. So our campuses are located in Limerick, in Tipperary, in Carlow, and I believe in Waterford or Wexford, but I'll get my colleague Rachel to give you the absolute accurate information about that. And then finally for me, Ireland is a centre of excellence in research. So we're very passionate about research and giving back to different industries that call Ireland their home. Industries, big multinationals and small companies come to Ireland because we have such high-skilled graduates. So we want to make sure that we can give back to them, and we are dedicated to constantly growing, constantly innovating, and that's just the spirit that we have here at Irish Institutes, the spirit that you'll join us in and hopefully grow and thrive in. So I might hand across to Rachel now, who will continue on this discussion.
Hi, Rachel. If you could just put on your, at the top of the screen, you will see your camera.
I think I got it. Yeah, it was just popping on and off there. So thank you, Crona, and thank you, Aisling. So just to continue with what Aisling was saying, I'll just pop onto the next slide. So Ireland is home to some of the world's top international companies. When I say home to, many of these companies did not start their business here in Ireland, but they have their European operations based in Ireland. So Ireland has been attracting these multinational companies to this island for a few decades now, really. Yes, it's very handy for these companies, I guess, to be so close to Europe. But they also, when they are surveyed, the CEOs of these companies say that the reason that they choose Ireland is that they know that the people who are coming out of the higher education institutes here are perfectly well trained to help them to push their businesses forward. So the reason that they come here is for the talent. This is further reflected in the fact that Ireland has the highest number of international workers of any EU country. So we started with the international companies coming to our shores, and now we're attracting international talent to our shores as well to meet the need of these international companies. So there's plenty of people who come to Ireland simply to seek work with these companies. But of course, you have lots and lots of international students too, who come here to get the high quality education in order to access jobs in these companies. We have 8 of the top 10 global ICT companies, 8 of the top 10 global pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical companies. So this part of the economy is worth about 5 billion euros every year. And both IT Carlow and LIT have our roots in preparing professionals for careers in the areas of engineering and science. This is pretty much the same for all institutes of technology here in Ireland. And so many of our engineers and scientists do go to work in this biomedical pharmaceutical manufacturing sector. There's even a large pharmaceutical manufacturing plant here in Carlow town, and Carlow is not a big town. Limerick is, Ireland's third city, but Carlow is a much smaller place. But even in smaller rural places like Carlow, you will find these large companies coming and setting up base. The international pharmaceutical company, which is here in Carlow, is called Merck, Sharp and Dohme, and they are currently extending their operations and will be taking on a new 300 staff in the next year or so. Ireland is the world's second largest software exporter. It's also a huge home for data retention and data management centers. So there's lots and lots of demand here for people who are trained in the professions associated with IT. Ireland, and particularly Dublin, is also a huge centre for financial services, or fintech, financial technologies. And you may have heard of companies like Stripe. This is one of the largest payment platforms now internationally. And this was started by two young Irish guys who did their schooling and did their higher education here and have come on to become some of the most successful businessmen in the world. So, Ireland is a happening place. It's got a high quality of education, and then it's got super opportunities. In fact, it ranks in the European Union in the first place for opportunities to build life and career after studies. So really, as an international student considering Ireland for your degree studies, you have two things really that you can be excited about. Well, maybe even three things. One, that you're coming to a country which is safe, friendly, and a lot of fun. And two, that you're coming to a place where the quality of education is very high. And three, you're coming to a place where when you graduate with your high quality degree, that you're very likely to walk into an excellent job with a multinational company. Okay, so we do offer post-study opportunities. If you graduate with a bachelor degree, you will get to stay here in Ireland for 1 year with a full work permit so that you can explore these work experience options that we're talking about. If you graduate with a master degree, you may stay here for 2 years. Your employer can then, of course, extend your visa. And after 5 years of being here and working here, then you can apply for permanent residency. Yes, for those of you who are thinking about studying part-time while you're a student, I certainly did a lot of that myself while I was studying. You have the right as an international student to work for 20 hours a week during the term and 40 hours a week during the holidays. And the holidays are the 15th of December to the 15th of January. This is to cover the Christmas period, which of course is very busy in the sectors of retail and hospitality. And then you can work 40 hours a week in the month of June, in the month of July, and in the month of August. So basically when you don't have lectures, when you're not studying. And the minimum wage in Ireland is €10.10 per hour. And most of our students work in the sectors of retail, so in shops, and in hospitality, so in coffee shops, in bars, in pubs, in restaurants. And then during the summer months, if our students decide to stay in Ireland and not to go home for the holidays, many of them find jobs in the tourism sector. So it is important to note here that, with the global pandemic, these are the sectors which have probably been most badly affected, I guess. So it may not be that easy from this September to find a part-time job in the areas of retail and hospitality. The very good news, though, is sectors that we've just been speaking about, like IT, fintech, pharma manufacturing, these sectors have not been affected at all by the global pandemic. So it's good news for graduates that things remain the same here in terms of job opportunities, but it's possibly not the best news for people who are thinking about starting their studies this year and were hoping to work part-time. You may have to allow for no part-time work in the first year. There are students from over 160 countries studying here in Ireland. Here at IT Carlow, we are at about 81 countries just now. And Aisling, I'm sure, is something similar down at LIT. So yes, students come here from all over. They come from all of the main continents, students who are native English speakers, students who are not native English speakers, students who are coming here to do their studies from year one, students who require a foundation program before they can begin bachelor studies, students who come from partner institutes abroad, so they start their studies at home and they continue their studies with us. So this is another option. And also, it doesn't have to be a partnership. You know, maybe you've already started your higher studies in your home country and you've completed 1 year or 2 years. Even if you've done that in your own language, we can still recognize what you have studied and allow you advanced entry. So you can start maybe in year 2 here, in year 3, maybe even in year 4. And then, of course, we have students coming here to do postgraduate study as well. So all kinds of students from all over the world studying on all kinds of programs. Definitely a great place to meet other students. Great, so accommodation. So Aisling mentioned as well about campuses. So it's not unusual for Irish institutes to be campus-based. However, there are also institutes that, you know, have various buildings around a certain city or town and they don't have a campus setting. LIT, to the best of my knowledge, have a number of campuses. IT Carlow has 2, one in Carlow and then one in the seaside town of Wexford. So if you'd like to be by the seaside, you have options there too. IT Carlow do not have on-campus accommodation. So our students live in a variety of accommodation options off campus. I believe the same is true for LIT. And yes, there's all kinds of different options for, you know, specialized student accommodation. You can stay with a host family if you would prefer to be living in a more family-based setting where you'll be fed breakfast and dinner. I know host moms here who drive students to college, who do their laundry. You know, there's all kinds of things available depending on what it is that you want. And the international office here and at LIT would be involved in supporting you in finding accommodation, particularly at the moment with the pandemic situation. We do need, or if you are from a visa required country, you do need to have your accommodation booked before you apply for your visa. So yes, we can provide support and help on this. And there are a range of options available and the budgets also vary. So the cheapest accommodation that you might find in Carlow could be €100 a week, whereas you could also be paying up to €200 a week, depending on what you choose. So that's the end of the joint presentation. So hopefully that gave you a bit of an insight into Ireland as a destination for study. Now myself and Aisling are going to give you individual presentations about our individual institutes. So Aisling is going to start and she's going to talk to you about Limerick Institute of Technology. So Aisling, if you're there, I will pass on over to you.
I think you might be first, Rachel. Oh, no, I'm first. Apologies.
Welcome to Limerick Institute of Technology. I am delighted that you are considering LIT for your future. When you look around our existing 5 campuses and our new planned campus here in Coona, you will see a very broad diversity of people and programs exploring new ideas, pursuing new knowledge and creating new art. You will find an institution committed to discovery, creativity and teaching excellence. By locating the Institute in a number of campuses, we create communities of learning rooted in our ethos of bringing theory and practice together. I invite you to explore our perspectives and find a program to fit your needs.
So that was our wonderful current president of LIT, Professor Vincent Cannan. He's unfortunately going to be leaving his position sometime in the coming months, but I'll get on to the reason why in a few minutes. So as Rachel said, I'm going to talk specifically about Limerick Institute of Technology now, the institute that I come from. So this is just a beautiful painting that one of our art students did of our main campus, LIT Moylish in Limerick City. So where are we located? As Rachel was alluding to, we have a number of campuses and all are currently located in the southwest of Ireland. Our main campus, LIT Moylish, is in Limerick City, as well as our Fine Arts campus, LSAD, or Limerick School of Art and Design. Both of these campuses are located in Limerick City, which is very close to Shannon Airport, as you'll see on the little airport symbol there on this map. As well as that, we have a digital art campus in Clonmel, and we have a sporting campus in Thurles, both located about an hour and a half drive away from Limerick City via bus, so via public transport. So why Limerick City? Limerick City is Ireland's third largest city, so we're smaller than Dublin and we're smaller than Cork as well. But that being said, there's lots to do here in Limerick. We're the commercial capital of the Midwest, and we're located 30 minutes from Shannon International Airport, as I mentioned. We have a few accolades to our name, which I'm delighted about. We were European City of the Future in 2018-19, and we were a UNESCO Learning City in 2017. We're very student-oriented down here, so there is 3 higher education institutes in Limerick City. There is LIT ourselves, and there is University of Limerick and Mary Immaculate College. As well as this, there's a number of English language schools in the area. So we're a very, very vibrant student city, which is absolutely wonderful. And due to the fact that we are so student-centered, nearly 50% of our population is under the age of 35. We have lower living costs compared to other bigger Irish cities. So for Dublin example, we're 50% cheaper to live in compared to Dublin, and we're in between 30 and 40% cheaper to live in compared to Cork and compared to Galway as well. So just some of the benefits about Limerick City itself. You'll see in the background to the slide as well a beautiful scenic picture of our castle here in Limerick, King John's Castle. And you actually pass this castle when you're walking in between the main campus and the city centre. So a beautiful scenic site that I get to see every single morning. But why LIT? Why should you come to LIT itself? So this is probably my favorite slide because I'm an LIT alumna. So I get to actually speak to this, having experienced it both as a staff member and as a student. We're scheduled to become a fully fledged technological university. So when I said our president is going to be leaving soon, it's because another president needs to be elected for our institute when we become a technological university. This is hopefully going to happen in September 2021 or else in October. We're just waiting to get confirmation on this. So if you join us this September or even next September, you'll be graduating from a whole new institute. You'll be graduating from TUS Midlands Midwest. We've 7,000 students across all of our courses and all of our campuses. And these students range from bachelor students all the way up to PhD students, a bit like myself. As well as that, we have very international student bodies. So this slide says we've over 70 nationalities. I actually checked yesterday, and I think we've either 81 or 82 different nationalities represented on our campuses. From the student perspective that I experienced, this meant that you were getting diverse opinions on all the different subjects that you studied, which led to just a better understanding overall of your course material. As well as that, we prefer to have smaller class sizes. So it's something that's very important to us is that you're able to get nearly a one-to-one relationship with your lecturer and they get to talk to you as individuals. You're not going to be sitting in a class of 200 people and never get to talk to your lecturer. You're going to be sitting in a class of 50 people if you're a business student, or 20 people if you're an engineering student. So we keep our classes very small so that you can actually have a relationship with your lecturer and actually talk to them on a one-to-one basis about the progress that you're making in your subjects. We're also very involved in active learning. So we don't believe in teaching you theory that you just write down an exam and then you forget. We work with companies, so we've industry-led programs. So industry, the big multinationals and the small companies teach us how to get you ready for your career. They tell us, for engineering students, they tell us exactly what instruments you need to be trained on. Or for business students, they tell us what skills you need when you're going out into your career. So you're not learning stuff that you don't need to know, you're learning stuff that will help you in your career. In addition to that, because we're so focused on getting you career ready and focused on training you through active learning, there are mandatory internships in most courses. We're trying to develop these so that all courses have at least 6 months of internships built into the courses. There's currently a few of the arts ones that are 3 to 4 weeks, but hopefully we'll have these developed into 6-month work placements or internships so that you're ready for your career and you're getting a taste of working in your career while you're still a student with us. Then we have we've an employment rate for our graduates of about 96% in 2018. I unfortunately don't have the figure for 2019 at the moment, which is the highest employment rate outside of Dublin, something we're very, very proud of. I'm just going to go through our campuses very quickly. I've mentioned them at the start of this. So we have our main campus, Moylish in Limerick City. We have our Clare Street campus, otherwise known as the Limerick School of Art and Design for our fine arts students. We have our Thurles campus located in County Tipperary for our sporting students. We have our Clonmel campus, which is our digital art campus located in County Tipperary again. And then we have Cuna, which is a campus that is currently in development. So it's going to be located quite close to our LIT Moylish main campus here in Limerick City. It's being developed so that our engineering, our IT, and I believe our applied science students have access to even more updated equipment that they can practice and develop those active skills on. And I'll just go through some of the subject areas that we have. I didn't want to list 120 courses because I know I only have a few minutes. So we have programs in the areas of business, in marketing, sports, tourism, fine arts, design, digital arts. We have courses in applied science, in IT, in social science, in built environment, so courses like civil engineering, in electrical engineering, in mechanical engineering. And then that's it. That's the overarching view of our undergraduate courses. Again, I didn't want to list 120. There should be a brochure here in the handout section for you to see a full list of the undergraduate courses. But for our postgraduate courses, we just have a small amount so far. We're currently developing more every single year to embrace students onto even more postgraduate courses. So for now, we have postgraduate programs in the likes of data analytics, which was, again, given to us, not given to us, we worked with industry in order to develop this postgraduate program because data analysts are actually in high demand here in Ireland. So industry came to us, said, we need these graduates, and we developed a master's in order to make graduates ready to go out and fill that need in industry. And then we have others such as software development, digital marketing, and management and strategic management and marketing as well. Then, as I've mentioned in a few places throughout my presentation, we're heavily involved with industry. So we work with small companies, but we wanted to mention some of the big contenders that we work with at LIT. Johnson & Johnson, which is huge here in Ireland at the moment, thanks to the lovely vaccines that they're developing, but the eye care factories here in Limerick City, as well as that, Northern Trust, Lufthansa, Intel, Cook, Stryker, and then smaller companies that our LIT graduates actually go out and create here in Limerick City and in other parts of Ireland. And our graduates create, our entrepreneurs create their own companies through the support of LIT. We have a hub for entrepreneurs at our LIT Moylish campus in order to give some qualifying entrepreneurs a little bit of a boost as they're starting out developing their own companies. It's something we're very, very passionate about. So here I've mentioned the non-European student fees. I've seen in the chat that there are some European participants here joining us. So these figures that I've mentioned on screen are specifically for non-European or non-EU students, I should say. So our fees range from between 7,500 to 12,000 euro per annum, depending on the program that you're interested in. For EU students, it's a little bit lower because you're paying the same cost as an Irish student. So it's in between 3,000 to 4,450 for undergraduate. And then we have a range of prices for postgraduates I believe it falls in around the 7,000 mark for postgraduates, but they are all individually priced. I can include a link to the fees for EU students in the chat after my presentation. But to help with non-EU fees, we have 2 scholarships available, both worth €1,000 each. And there are some qualifiers in order to get those scholarships. Everybody can get the May 1st scholarship. So you pay your fees before May 1st, you get a €1,000 discount straight away. And then there are a few merit-based scholarships of €1,000 as well. And these are offered to students that are high performers in their previous studies. And then finally, I believe, the application process. So we believe in making things as easy as possible at IIT. You submit an application form to us with supporting documentation, such as a transcript. Then if you're successful, we issue you with a conditional offer. You pay €500 to secure your place. We ask for this deposit to secure your place because we don't have an application fee. And then you receive a full offer letter after you've met the conditions, such as paying your full fees and submitting English language test results, for example. And that's everything from me. So this is just a quote from one of our current students, Deborah, who leads our International Society. So our International Society is a student-led society that engages in activities like surfing and visiting different parts of Ireland when times are safe and when travel is possible. And she came to us as this lovely, quiet student that you'd be scared to say boo to because she might run away. She was so quiet when she came to us, and she blossomed into this incredible human being because of the warm community that we have here at LIT. She's turned into an almost completely different person. And then on the graphic design side of things, her skills are phenomenal. She's just learned so much during her time with us, and we're all very, very proud of her. She's an incredible student. And that's everything from LIT. Our contact details are here on this slide. I can pop them in the chat as well, just in case anybody wants to follow up. But I might be over time, so I might just pass over to Rachel to talk some more, and then we can all come back together in the Q&A. So Rachel, all yours.
Thanks, Aisling. I think my video is coming first.
Welcome to Limerick Institute of Technology.
Welcome to
There's students from all over the world.
There's students from all over the world.
I'm from Canada.
I'm from Malaysia.
I'm from Canada.
I'm from Korea.
I'm from the northeast of China.
I'm from the northeast of China.
I'm currently studying accounting. I'm studying human resources.
System
I'm
avionics.
studying human resources.
System
I
avionics.
study about
I study
bachelor in
accounting.
aircraft
I
systems.
study about
The best thing about studying at IT Carlow is the class sizes.
The best thing about
It's a
studying
nice
at
small
IT Carlow
class,
is
so
the
the
class sizes.
lecturers really
It's
get
a
to know
nice
you
small
by
class, so the
name and get to
lecturers
develop
really get
that
to know you
personal
by name
relationship
and
with
get
you.
to
There you
develop
want
that
to
personal
the students to
relationship with
understand.
you. Then you
And
want
if you don't
the
understand, you
students
can
to
actually
understand.
meet them
And
after
if you don't
class.
understand, you can
They
actually
spend
meet
time
them
with you.
after class.
There are lots of
Spend time
people
with you.
here, a lot of
There are
country
lots
here
of
that I
people
can
here,
meet,
a lot
and
of
then
country
there
here
are
that
lots
I
of
can
culture
meet,
that I can
and
learn
then
more.
there are lots of
People are very
culture that I
friendly,
can
they are
learn more.
kind.
People are very
It has a great
friendly, they are
environment.
kind. It has a
Having that
great environment.
international experience
Having that
adds a lot
international
to
experience
what
just
you
adds
are
a
as a
lot
person
to
as well as what you can put on your CV.
you are as a person as well as what you can put on your
anything that you're
CV.
interested in.
So you can choose
You
anything
need
that
great
you're
lecturers
interested
and
in.
classmates in IT Carlow,
You need great
so I really
lecturers and
recommend it to
classmates
any
in IT Carlow,
international
so I
students
really
who
recommend it
wish
to
to
any
study
international
abroad.
students who would wish to study abroad.
So that was just a short video that we shot on our annual International Day, where we all of the international students have a chance to, as you saw, set up a little stand. They usually stick up some pictures from their country, and sometimes they have some food from their own country which they've prepared, and then all of the students on the campus visit all of the different stands and chat with people. And sometimes the students are wearing national dress, or sometimes they have some little pieces of art or craft from their country. So we didn't get to celebrate last year because of the pandemic, but we did have a virtual showcase. So you'll probably still be able to see that on our website. So you can check out our website at itcarlow.ie and you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to start with my presentation because we do want to leave plenty of time for questions at the end. Carlow is located 1 hour from Dublin, and we're very lucky that we are connected very well to the capital. Ireland doesn't have the best public transport system in the world, but you can access the capital city from Carlow by bus, by train, or indeed by car. So the cost of living in Carlow, because it's a small town, is quite a lot lower than in the capital. So one of the things that our students really like about being in Carlow is that they have that small town atmosphere from day to day. They have that lower cost of living, but they are within easy reach of the capital city for visits to socialize or to see some of the lovely national museums, etc., that are here in Ireland. So that's our location. And then I did mention earlier our second campus. It's right down here in Wexford. Hopefully you can see my pointer there. So right by the sea. So it's about another hour from Carlow. Excuse me. So I mentioned some of these points when I was doing the joint presentation with Aisling. So Ireland has a very young population. It has a very high standard of education. And probably in that 33.3% of the population which are under the age of 25, there's probably quite a lot of international students counted in that number. Moving on, so this is a picture of Carlow. It's not a big town. And like everywhere in Ireland, you're never very far from the colour green when you're in Ireland. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll also see Carlow Castle, not as impressive as the beautiful St. John's Castle in central Limerick. But pretty much every Irish town also has some kind of old castle in it. So if history is your thing, Ireland will suit you very, very well. Carlow is located on the meeting or the confluence of two rivers. So you're also never very far away from the water when you're here. Just right kind of in the middle of that picture towards the bottom, you'll see just opposite the castle, you see a building with black roofs. That's actually where my apartment is. And I walk to the campus every day, and it takes me about 15 minutes. So one of the great things about Carlow is you also don't need any budget for public transport. Our students walk around, they live in the center of town, they walk to the campus, which is located just on the edge. Some students get themselves a bicycle so they can cycle in and out. But as I say, it takes less than half an hour to walk from one side of Carlow to the other. Just some stats on the institute, and I won't bore you too much with these statistics, but we're a relatively small institute. We have about 4,000 full-time students studying for bachelor and master programs. As mentioned, our main campus is in Carlow. We're currently expanding our main campus. Last year, we opened our new sports campus, which is just located 1 kilometre from here. And there we have 6 full-size pitches and an Olympic running track. I'll be talking more about sport at IT Carlow as we move through the presentation. We are number 1 for sport in the country for the last 2 years running. And we have students from 88 countries. I think I also mentioned that. So there's lots and lots of different reasons why IT Carlow is a very happening place. It's the fastest growing institute of technology in the country. And then Aisling mentioned the technological university development. So IT Carlow are also on track to become the Technological University of Southeast Ireland in January 22. So any students taking up their studies here with us this September will graduate from a technological university as opposed to from IT Carlow. So we are, all of our qualifications are internationally recognized. So whether you want to come to Ireland to study in the hope of staying and working here, or whether you want to come here to study and then you intend to take your qualifications back home with you, or indeed to some other part of the world, this is entirely possible. Your Irish qualification will be recognized internationally. We like to call ourselves here the Institute of Firsts. So we were the first institute to introduce computer game development into the academic space. That was about 20 years ago. and that program is still going very strong here. The gaming industry is also going quite well here in Ireland, with many international companies coming to Ireland to develop their games and their gaming technology here. We were also the first institute to introduce brewing and distilling to the academic space only last 2 years ago. So brewing is the making of beer and distilling is the making of whiskey. So everybody in the world knows that Ireland is very famous for these two types of product. However, originally and traditionally, professionals in these areas would have been trained in breweries and distilleries. But as I say, IT Carlow were the first to bring this program into the academic space. So you can now get a degree in brewing and distilling. Yes, it's a career-focused education with an emphasis on professionalism and excellence. I could say many of the same things that Aisling said in her presentation. So, the Institutes of Technology in Ireland were put in place to train professionals for the workplace. So this culture continues. Even 50 years later, IT Carlow, celebrated its 50th birthday last year. And even as we become a TU, this essence of preparing people to work as opposed to preparing people to study further or preparing people to lecture, this is really what Institutes of Technology are about. So we're very good for young people who know what it is that they want to do in their lives. We're perhaps not so great for people who think, well, I definitely want to go to university, but I'm not really sure what I want to study. We may not be for you, but if what we're offering in terms of the program choice, if that is what you see yourself doing in the long term, then you will certainly find an excellent level of education and a brilliantly high practical content in all programs. And as I say, a focus on professionalism and excellence. So these are some of the programs that you can study here at IT Carlow at undergrad level. There's a Faculty of Engineering. It's got a whole range of different types of engineering. And then you might think this is a bit of an odd one to find here, TV and media production, but it's very much from the technical side of things. So the sound engineering and the visual engineering of TV and media production. These then would be the IT programs here at the top. Then you have some sport related programs down here. And then you have some more natural sciences down here. Then you can study all types of business, media and PR. This is a new program, only 2 years old, digital marketing with business analytics. You can study design. You can study sports coaching and business management. These are the only programs of their kind in Europe. And you must be an elite sports person to gain access to these programs. And then, of course, we have visual communications and design, which is a massively popular program here, and that runs out of the Wexford campus. I'll go pretty quickly on from here. There are a number of postgraduate programs too, but not as many as undergrad. So what do our students like? Well, in the little video that we started, you might remember that you heard Tanya from Canada saying that she liked the small class sizes. You heard Amirul from Malaysia talking about how the lecturers are really interested in you and how you're progressing and how you're getting on. So, those are some of the things students like. Our students also like that our campus is quite small, that it's easy to get to know people, that it's easy to develop relationships with your faculty. There are two sets of faculty working with you when you're at an Institute of Technology. You have your lecturers who deliver theory, and then you also have your technicians, and they are available in the labs where you do your practice or your practical work. They're there every day from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. So whether you're doing a practical lesson or whether you're working on a project, they are there to help and support you at all times. This is something that you won't get in a classical university, but this is something that will continue as we move from IT, or Institute of Technology, to Technological University. Obviously, with such a high practical content, the campus has to be very well kitted out. So all students need access to the equipment that is required for their practical training. And this is a reason why the class sizes are small too. And the class sizes are small. You know, on the program pharmaceutics and drug formulation, we take 15 students each year. It's a very, very small number, but that's to facilitate the high practical content and the requirement for students to have their hands on with their work as much as possible. Here you can see into our library. It's over 3 floors. If you look at the picture on the right, you'll see both individual and group working stations. So this is just a nod, or it's worth a mention here, that, you know, you won't just have individual assessment as a student at IT Carlow. You will also have group assessment. And this is to help to develop your soft skills, to develop how you communicate, how you work with others, how you prioritize. And these are features of an individual which are very important to employers. So right from the very beginning of your education, we won't just be giving you theory and practical access to your subject, but you'll also be being developed as an individual so that when you graduate, you're work ready. This is something that you will hear us talking about a lot here at the Institutes of Technology in Ireland, is work ready graduates. So not just graduates who passed all their exams, but graduates who are actually ready for the workplace. We talked a little bit about the Wexford campus earlier. It's by the sea. It's located by the seaside. And Wexford is the home of IT Carlow's School of Art and Design. So you can study pure art there, and you can also study visual communications and design. Wexford is home to the National Opera House. Usually everything national is in Dublin. So we're very proud of the National Opera House down in Wexford. And as I say, it's home to the School of Art and Design. It's a very arty and crafty place. So our students down there really, really enjoy the environment, not just from a nature perspective with the sea and the beaches close by, but also it's an arty and crafty place down in Wexford. So I said I'd talk about sport, and then I instantly mentioned that we're #1 in the country for sport for the last 2 years running. But in the picture on the right here, you'll be able to see on the ground just some of the varsity honors. So we have we're inter-varsity champions nationally in rugby, in soccer, in pool, in basketball. The list goes on and on. If you love sport, you will love IT Carlow. It's a huge part of life here. You can study sports-related programs, but you can also study something completely different and still play sport to a very high level. We have international athletes here in our student population, and we also attract international sports stars. We recently have some international rugby players who have come and are getting on very well here. So this is a game that you probably, or maybe won't know. I shouldn't say probably. If you've done your research on Ireland, you might know this game. It's called hurling. It's the fastest and the oldest stick and ball game in the world. And we do have an international student Gaelic sports team. So if you want to try these Gaelic sports as an international student, you will have a chance to do so. And you'll even have a chance to compete against other Irish institutes who also have international Gaelic sports teams. Clubs and societies, we have over 65 sports clubs and societies run by students for students. So whatever your interests, if you can't find a society that for you, then you are welcome to start one, and you will be supported by the clubs and societies organization here on campus. This picture here is from a very, very popular society with international students, which is the Hill Walking Society. And students are taken to see some of Ireland's most beautiful spots and to go for a hike there. So yeah, if you come here, you're highly likely to get involved with this society. Students come to us from all over the world. I spoke a good bit about that earlier, so I will go quickly enough through this slide. If you don't see your flag up there, reach out to me and ask me, will I be the only person from my country? But yeah, sometimes there are students here in large groups from a country, and sometimes you do only have one single student from a country. But what you don't get at IT Carlow is large numbers of international students in the same programs. So we're really conscious of keeping that balance, that we have at least 50-50 domestic international. But if you're coming to us as a year 1 student starting your bachelor degree, it's most likely that you will be among a very small number of international students on your program. So this is International Day again. I mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to go pretty quickly now because I want to get through here and leave time for some questions. So yeah, that's International Day. We support our students in seeking employment when they graduate. We've already talked in great detail about Ireland's employers and who they are and what they offer. This is one of our graduates. He's now working at the European Space Agency. He studied aerospace engineering with us. And he really rates IT Carlow not just for the quality of the education, but also for the connections within industry after he graduated. You can please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook also. You can like us. You'll get to see kind of what we're sharing with our students who are here with us at the moment. So what's going on the ground for students. So please do follow the Instagram in particular. And I try to keep that updated. You've got fees here for non-EU students and also living costs in Carlow. These are also available by email from me if you need them. And then we have some scholarships and we have some discounted programs. So I'll just let you look at that while I tell Krona and Aisling that I'm done. And let's do the Q&A. So thanks very much for listening, everybody, and hopefully you have plenty of questions that we can answer for you.
That was great. Thank you to both of you. Very, very detailed and interesting presentations there. So we have quite a few questions, so let's go straight to it. Really happy that we have Sarah B watching. Sarah B is a parent watching in from Sweden. Hi, Sarah. Sarah has a son who is going into NYP4 after the summer, and he's very interested in game design and production. But just before we go into your specific game design and production courses, Sarah would like to know, we spoke a lot about the international companies which are based in Ireland and the opportunities for international students. Do you know what percentage of your international students would stay and work in Ireland after they graduate?
Yeah,
let's say Rachel first and then Aisling.
Yeah, I think it would be fairly anecdotal evidence that I would have, like from students who I personally know, and so I personally know how they progressed. I would say from our postgraduate students, it's probably up there at about 80%. And then from undergraduate students, I would say that a lot of them do choose master programs in other countries. But even students who do that, they can still come back to Ireland after they have done their masters and claim that 1 year stay back. It is important to know that those avenues are open. And I would say, 96% of our graduates find employment within 6 months of graduating. Do all of our international students stay? I would say no. And I can't tell you exactly how many, but maybe half and half of the undergrads. I don't know, Aisling, how does that sit with you?
That sounds pretty similar for us. It's mostly the postgraduate students that would stay on because they've got the 24 months extension. If you're not a EU citizen, you have the 24 months extension on your visa. For undergraduate, it's a little bit less, but again, a bit like Rachel, I have more anecdotal evidence of this. We're seeing our undergrads either continue with us to do masters, or one of my undergrads went and is applying to DCU here in Ireland, or they go and apply for master's programs in other places around the world because they're getting an excellent education, which makes it quite easy for them to go on to master level in other parts of the world.
Okay, great. And it's good to know that they can always come back after they have studied abroad. They can always come back then and work in Ireland. Sarah is interested to find out more about your game design and game production programs. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll start with Aisling first this time.
Yeah, cool. So the one that pops to my mind is Games Design and Development, I believe is the title of the program. It's in our IT department, so it's very IT focused. It's focused on the likes of programming and very, it's not very arty is what I'd say. I mention that because if more the art side of things is of interest, we also have the Games Art and Design program. So two very, very different programs. One is very on the nuts and bolts and the behind the scenes of working on games design, and the other is more an artistic approach to it. So the Games Design and Development program takes place on our LIT Moylish campus, I believe, in Limerick City. And then our game art and design program takes place in LIT Clonmel, so our digital art campus. So 2 options there, depending on what approach you want to take to working in games industry.
I could just say same, because it's pretty much the same. So we have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Game Development. That's the coding, it's the background. It's got a huge dropout rate because a lot of students think, great, I'm just going to get to play games all the time, but it's really high-tech IT. So it's got a very high dropout rate. And then based on that, because that program has been around for about 20 years, based on that, then a couple of years ago, we introduced a new one, and I've just had to look up the name because I always get it wrong, but it's Computing in Interactive Digital Art and Design. And that's the more artistic side. So we don't actually have any graduates from that program yet. I think they're students going into year 3 this year in September 21. So that, exactly as Aisling explained, is the more artistic side, and one is the more technical side. The only difference between myself and Aisling is that both of ours are on the same campus. That's all.
Okay, great. And just another quick question from Sarah. The 1,000 reduction in fees, if paid before the end of May, is that applicable to EU students as well? And that's for Aisling in Limerick.
Yeah, it isn't. That is a brilliant question. And I know there's immediate disappointment when I say it isn't, but there is a good reason. So EU citizens, and Rachel might correct me if I'm wrong, but EU citizens are able to apply for the Irish SUSI scheme, which is the government grant scheme, where the government gives you a grant towards some of your studies. So Irish and EU students are eligible for that, can be eligible. It's means tested. So that's the reason that scholarship isn't available for EU citizens, because there's other avenues for EU citizens to avail of. So that 1,000, the 2 1,000 euro scholarships that I mentioned are specific to non-EU citizens.
Okay. Okay, now we have some academic questions. So how does the IB diploma convert to the Irish education system?
I can answer that if you like. I've been doing a lot of research on the IBDP in the last few weeks. So 24 points is the minimum passing mark. And then I'm pretty sure we need you to have 11 points from standard grade subjects and 12 points from higher level subjects, something like that. But 24 is the minimum passing, that's for sure. And IBDP grads can go directly to year 1, no foundation required.
Yep.
That was kind of basics of it.
That's exactly what I'm familiar with as well. It's perfectly equitable to the Irish Leaving Cert, the Irish high school exam.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a question here from Vlad in Romania. I'm an IB student and have noticed that most universities in Ireland change the IB points into CAO points for their entry requirements. I also found that if a student in the Irish baccalaureate gets a grade of over H6 in higher level mathematics, he or she will receive 25 additional CAO points. I wanted to ask, is this also applicable for students who get a grade of 6 or above in IB mathematics high level? So quite a specific question.
I actually looked it up because I spotted this while Rachel was presenting, because I didn't know the answer straight away, so I wanted to get the answer. I'm actually looking at the CAO, so the official CAO handbook right here beside me, and it seems to indicate that yes, you would get the additional points as well, but only if your mathematics is being counted towards your entry requirements. So here in Ireland, the students take more subjects than they need to actually enter into college. So if you're taking too many subjects for the conversion, just make sure that mathematics is included in the ones that you want converted, and you should be able to get those additional points. According to this Bible in front of me, the CAO Bible in front of me.
I think it's also very important to point out here, though, that the competition for places between Irish students based on the CAO is, it's tough. Whereas international students are not involved in that competition. So certainly for IT Carlow, you just have to reach our entry requirement point, but you're not competing against anybody else for a place. The Irish students are competing for places, and therefore the points are much, much more important to them. So just to mention that.
Exactly.
Okay, a question from Krishna, and again, can you talk about the CAO points and how they translate to A levels?
I would say that we don't need to talk about CAO points at all. Students coming to Ireland do not need to worry about CAO points. We are all well equipped to deal with the qualifications that you are doing. You do not have to have CAO points. You are not in the pool with Irish students. It's like two separate pools. Yeah. You're very lucky to be in the other pool. And myself all had to compete quite hard to get into university. Actually, I just went international so I could stay out of the competition. But you know, international students are very lucky to be in this separate pool. So your entry requirements are based on what you are doing and not what Irish students are doing. So I hope that's clear.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so let's kind of run through some key dates at the moment. So let's say for students who are still looking for places at 2021, do you still have some places available, and what should they be doing? Okay.
We have lots of places, Aisling. I don't know about you guys. I mean, the Irish students are not going to be getting their results until September, until early September. So we never run out of places for undergraduate students. It doesn't happen because we offer our international students before our Irish students are even qualified. You know, and we have plenty of places here. So, you know, it isn't an issue. So if you're still looking for September 21, you really need to start applying now, particularly if you're from a visa-required country. We are recommending that visa-required students have that visa application submitted before the end of June. Yep. Now, today's the 10th. You still have time to secure an offer, pay tuition, and get that visa application in, but we wouldn't be encouraging visa-required students to be trying to get in for September 21 after the end of June.
Yep, I'd completely echo that sentiment. Yeah, it's visa required students act now, or September 2021 would not be possible at all.
And then non-visa required students, you can apply right up until August. I mean, at the moment, we don't have a definite start date for September, but we're estimating September 13th or 20th. So if you're not visa required, as long as you can get here for around September 1st, then you're good to go.
Absolutely the same on the LIT front.
Okay, great. And then for students enrolling in 2022, what would you advise them to be? Is there anything that they can be doing now in preparing, or is there any benefit in applying early?
For international students, there is the benefit of applying early because, again, you have access to those early discounts in our case. But for all students that are thinking about September 2022, I think a big bit of advice would be to start thinking now. Like a lot of students I find would reach out to us maybe in January and just like, oh, can I learn more about this course? Don't be shy. Come and ask us questions and look up, research the courses that you're thinking about. There's never too early to start thinking. There's also never too early to start saving. So start saving so that when you come here, you're not just going to be, you can work part-time, but don't dedicate your life to working part-time. Be able to enjoy yourself. So yeah, never too early to start researching your options and never too early to start saving so that you can enjoy the experience of Ireland. That'd be my best advice.
100% agree.
Okay, great. We have a question from Hinmin. You want to know a little bit more about the finance side of things, Hinmin. It would be great to know where you're from. So if you want to write in the chat, and then we can address your question.
I suppose in general, you need to think about two things: tuition and then living expenses. They're two, separate things. And thankfully, with the Institutes of Technology, our fees are in or around the same as what you should be budgeting for 1 year of living. So, if your fee is 10,250, which is our full fee, and then you get €1,000 off in IT Carlow for having a high level of English, you're at 9,250. We would be hoping that you'd be spending around that or slightly less on your living expenses for the year. So, in or around there.
Okay. Aisling, anything to add on? Similar in Limerick?
Something similar in Limerick. I will note that IT Carlow are in a little bit smaller towns, so Rachel has me beat when it comes to accommodation prices, unfortunately. But we'll take care of you here in Limerick, and we'll make sure that you have affordable but also safe accommodation. at the privately owned student dormitories that are located in Limerick City, and we'll make sure that you're safe and secure with landlords in Clonmel, Tipper and Thurles. So accommodation is unfortunately the biggest expense, and then similarly the tuition fees, so they're the biggest ones.
But there is also the fact that students can work, and it's quite a good minimum wage in Ireland as well, compared to other places in Europe. So
absolutely, and all food and drink that's sold on public institutions, so both LIT and IT Carlow are fully public institutes. So everything that is sold to students on the campus is heavily subsidised by the state as well. So the more students can avail of the services that are provided on the campuses, the more they can keep their costs down.
100%. You can get like a full breakfast on IT campuses for €3 to €5. The same with a lunch that's more like the size of a dinner to a lot of incoming students. Again, you're getting it for about €5 because they're heavily subsidized. So, yeah.
Okay, great. We have a question from Nicholas B, and he's saying, do either of your universities have any artificial intelligence programs?
Ooh.
At undergrad, I don't believe that we do have AI at the moment, but I would advise looking. No, we absolutely don't. We have it at master's level, but we don't have it at undergrad level.
Okay.
The same with LIT. I believe they're thinking about introducing one, but I don't know when it'll be introduced. I don't know whether it'll be in a couple of years' time. We're heavily involved in AI when it comes to research, however. We have a lot of research master's students looking in the area of AI. I was actually on a call because I'm doing my own PhD, and I'm baffled by the amount of fellow researchers I have with me that are doing AI studies. So we have a very strong presence in it in research, but not in taught undergraduate yet.
Okay. And again, Adam has a question again on engineering, very specific nanotechnology. I would suggest, Adam, you get in touch or have a look at the brochures. They're available for download, and just have a look and see if the programs that you're interested are available. Another question from Krishna. So let's talk a little bit about the English exams that you accept.
So the C1 English exam, Krishna, I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. So I think you mean C1 as in the CEFR, so the grading. So that would be the level that you need and more. You know, you can actually access our programs with a slightly lower level than that. But yes, we accept IELTS, we accept PTE, we accept TOEFL, we accept Duolingo, we accept most of them. And entry requirement for IT Carlow is 5.5 in IELTS with 5.5 across all bands. And we're looking for the equivalent in whatever exam you decide to take. In the Duolingo, that's 90. In the PTE, that's 70 something. The TOEFL is 79. So yeah, all of that information is available on our website too. So please do check out our website. I might just type it into the box. Or you can reach out to me directly and I can provide you with that information.
Yep, absolutely the same at LIT. So it's an IELTS 5.5 or equivalent for first year undergraduate, but that increases to an IELTS 6.0 if you're coming in at advanced entry. So Rachel actually touched on this topic of advanced entry. So if you transfer over to LIT into year 2, year 3, or year 4, it's an IELTS 6.0 or equivalent. And then the same for masters, it's an IELTS 6.0 or equivalent. Again, that C1, if you're referring to the CEFR system, is perfectly adequate. It's a B2 in the CEFR system at the moment, I believe.
Okay, that's great. Well, we've run out of questions. So I think that's all that we have time for now at the time for this evening. If anybody has any other questions, I know that Rachel and Aisling won't mind me saying that they would be very happy if you were to reach out to them to find out more information. So I would just like to thank everyone in the audience for taking part and your great questions. And thank you to Rachel and thank you to Aisling. And maybe you'll see some of these students in Ireland. I know you made me homesick. You made it sound so nice.
It's lovely.
Okay, so take care, everybody, and we'll see you the next time.
Thank you. Bye.
An edge. We're all looking for one. It's what helps you get ahead.
We're all looking for one.
Make a difference. And that's exactly what studying in Ireland provides. The benefits of an English-speaking education in a country that's at both the heart and the cultural, economic and technological leading edge of Europe. And maintaining that edge is what drives us on. It's why we've long been obsessive about education, why we value it so much, not just for what it gives us, but for where it can take us. It's why Ireland's higher education institutions stand shoulder to shoulder with the best in the world, providing an education that goes deeper than books, tutorials or lectures, an education in the real sense of the word. Opportunity, experience, community, life, friendship. Care for each other and ourselves is central to the way we do things in Ireland. It's why we're managing the pandemic with compassion as well as caution, looking after the health of our students, both physical and mental. And that edge is what Google, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn and Microsoft were looking for when they made Ireland their European home. It's what the world's leading pharma corporations wanted when they came to our shores. What our homegrown tech innovators have built their reputations on. It's an edge of ambition and ability. One that will take you beyond your education and far into your chosen career. An edge that you'll carry with you forever.